When I look back at that pivotal day in my childhood, a week after my 8th birthday, it fills in for all the other days. The sky of my childhood is this one golden evening. The low sun riding the threadbare clouds above the meager rise, way inland of where we, in our flatland, what we, in our flat landscape, call hills. So rich and thick that light, that it turns everything else to darkness. The plow ridges, the rushes, the sudden flight of birds, the gossamer dragonflies, the great pumps, and even our little house, perched on the ridge of built-up bank, growing steep as the soil wastes from the land below. I remember standing seaward, staring at the sun pouring straight in through the single room, its open doors, one seaward, one landward, the light aching through, turning my home into a paper cutout, except for the movement across the light. And it is that movement that keeps me rooted, a man in a heavy coat and a hat. I know Ma is in the house. I can hear snatches of speech, her voice calm, his unthreatening, but I know by the soreness of the soil under my bare feet, something is wrong. It is a patient man who finds his way out here, working his way out from the road, crossing the single-plank bridges, leaping across the smaller channels. It is a miracle that this man has found his way across the ditches and the drains and the ridges to our house, out of all the lonely houses perched on the banks. That makes him a clever man. Or it makes our silent neighbors an army of pointing fingers, a community of silhouetted raised arms. Not here, over yonder, mister. And I wonder how many point the right way, and how many choose the wetland route. Convoluted explanations of where it is safe to walk, which bridge can be trusted, where the water is fearsome deep, that leaves just one turn, leaving the foreigner, that leaves out just one turn, leaving a foreigner stranded and cursing, convinced of his own misstep. I never think that Ma will come out of the house and raise her arm to point, sending him away to some other house, some other family in trouble. For there is only one family in trouble. Just us. Just my da hiding from the man in the hat. And now I am lying up against the dark bank, neck craning, my head grazing the sill of the open door. I create no telltale profile and listen with every hair on my arms, my hands spread across the murmur of the grasses. I can see his smartly creased breeches, his long boot caked in soft yellow mud, paler where it is starting to dry. I can see a beetle exploring the edge of its sole, where it is stitched to its upper. They sit in silence now. That man with his hat and the beetle on his boot, and Ma waiting for my da to walk home to his captor. The breeze is getting up, the salt breeze from the invisible sea above the dikes and sluices that protect us from it. Soon the sky will redden, and the gulls will fly into the fields. Ma will be worried that I am not home. No, Ma will be relieved that I am not home. Worried, relieved, should I peel myself out of the shadow and clatter up the steps, or should I sneak away and sleep in the sheepfold? Somewhere the man in the hat is bound to come looking for my da. Somewhere he might overlook a scrawny web foot of a child of the wetland. And my traitor feet take me up the steps to stare silently at the man and his hat placed neatly on his smartly creased twill knee. He looks up and smiles. Even against the all-pervading light, I can tell by the way the creases round his eyes crunch up. "I did not know you had a child," he says. And I am afraid. Not for my da, but for myself, and for what it means that he did not know, and now he does. Ma does not even raise her eyes. There is nothing I can do but run. I do not run for the sheepfold. I do not run for the neighbor houses, those pointing fingers. Not here, mister, away yonder. I run from him. I skip over the freshly plowed peat. I scramble up banks and down ditches. I leap waterways. I splash through shallow water, and still he follows. It is not natural how he keeps up with me, not waning, always there, the length of my autumn evening shadow away. If I could fly, I would follow the birds heading inland for the night. but I cannot fly. And I run out toward the great dike that holds the sea at bay, and out towards the sluice that separates the sea and land. And where I step, he steps, his great long legs in their crisp, creased breeches and muddled leather boots, covering twice my starling leeks, but without the wit of my clever webbed feet. He falls often, but follows until I can run no more, trembling at the edge of the great sluice. The water so deep and dark on one side of the water gate, and on the other the sea, gray and full of restless muttering, raging at being kept out, pushing the sluice gates wanting in. And he catches me, first by the wrist, and when I dangle from his grip, 1 foot off the bank, and almost in that gray, uncertain whispering round my waist, clamping me against his body, feeling his belt buckle hard against my backbone, too winded to scream, scrabbling with my feet for purchase to push away from him, fighting until there are no more tears to give to that angry, gray water. At last, he lets me down, collapsing as I gasp for air, and the last of the sun lights his face. He is one of us, one of the water people. I stare at his boots, wondering if they cut his webbing before they forced his feet into those monstrous creations. He could be my da, uncle, neighbor. No wonder he found us. No wonder I could not lose him. To one side, the sea's angry insistence. To the other, the great drain's insolent slapping. But my traitor feet will not carry me one step, not one side or the other. He will take me away now, to be tamed and maimed and turned into the kind of person who wears a hat and boots. And I will never see my parents again. And now I stand, seaward of the house, black against the golden light of the endless sky. A beetle explores my boots, and as I watch the square of light that is pouring through the landward door and out of the seaward door, watching for movement, I smooth my hair, pull the brim of my hat straight as I replace it, and put my feet on the first steps cut into the bank.